cat, how you came to be is no longer a mystery. Black sheep is your birthright. It's code for the one who brings the light. I vex if there's a crack, you don't fall back. Remember who you are. No rest for the wicked with their skullduggery. The use spell workers' projection to send out envy, hate, and jealousy. You are the prototype, your ancestors champion. They shield you and send back those spiritual attacks. You are divinely protected from the dummy bats. Yeah. Big cat, the most high, got your back. He sits high and looks low, so don't get smoked or smoke yourself. Big cat moving silence. Only time you speak is to say checkmate.
Namaste! Grand Rising, Big Cat. Welcome or welcome back to Frequency Phoenix 555 for your message or messages. Come in! Come on! I've got it. Intel. Recon is afoot. Energies. Up, Big Cat. I insist. May your comings and goings be forever covered by the grace of the Most High, Father, God, Mother, Isis. When in doubt, go within and call your ancestral team, your security. Energies up, I insist. Let's dive in, darling dears, and unpack. Oh, just the one. Okay. Good golly and gosh, you've got Feo, darling dears. Okay, let's dive in, darling dears. Oh, excuse me, why? It's not Feo, it's Answers. Excuse me. I got it a bit mixed. Sorry, but let's press on. Answers is represented by the Magician card in Tarot, darling dears. Yes, it is. It also represents the God card in runestones, as well as your ancestral team. So you are being surrounded, darling dears, and protected. Why? You are being put in a leadership role. Good golly and gosh. It's going to be a power of words, darling dears. You'll be using your intellect. Somebody's going to try and tongue wrestle with you. Good golly and gosh. Are they mad? Yes, they are. It's also about deceit, darling dears. Somebody or somebody who is engrossed in vanity and they're bored. So they think to play with the big cat is a good idea. Good golly and gosh, that's the first, right? No, the second. The first fear is to fear the Most High. The second is to try and play with the big cat that knows what's going on. Fist bump. Okay. It's about you getting a new knowledge, something that's coming in very quickly, darling dears, very quickly. You'll also be taking a short trip over the next few days. Drip? What does drip mean? Is it jewelry? Is it jewelry that you're buying? Whatever it is, darling dears, you manifested this shiznai. The energy of the Magician also speaks about you being extremely powerful. Why? Because you are resourceful. And as I said, something is coming towards you at a great speed. As I said, somebody wants to fight and argue with you, or it's the gossip at your shapely back. It's about you taking actions on any spiritual downloads that you're going to be getting. Why? Because you have all of the tools. The Magician always has all of the suits laid out in front of him with all of the capabilities of as above, so below. You are in what? Co-creation mode. It's time for you to what? Set your intentions, darling dears, in stone. This is a time where you are going to be what? Quick thinking. Why? Because what you think about is going to manifest immediately, darling dears. On the runestone, Answers is represented by the number 1. Sorry, on tarot it's represented by number 1. On the runestone it's number 4, darling dears. Together that makes a 5. But this read, because Answers is ruled by the Magician, and the Magician is air as well as Mercury energy, darling dears. So, okay. So Mercury rules, good golly and gosh, it rules Gemini as well as Virgo energy, darling dears. So the Gemini energy speaks about something that you've learned, darling dears, something that you're doing with your phone or something that you learned on television. It also speaks about you being protected in your ground transportation, darling dears, your well-being and your health. This is the 6th house of Virgo as well as the 3rd house of Gemini. You've got it in juxtaposed, darling dears. Okay. So the energy of Mercury, darling dears, lean in, bestie, lean in, is represented by the number 5, as I've already said. Okay, the number 5 is represented by the letters E and W. So you may be a number 5 life path, or the date or number is significant in your life of the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd. Your luckiest numbers over the next few days will be the 157. You are a free spirit and a pioneer, darling dears. You are the original big cat door explorer. I bex you be. Your luckiest days will be Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The numbers for you to avoid is 2, 4, and 6 over the next few days, darling dears. Okay. The number 5 is represented by the astrological aspect of a queen cux. This means that it was a stressful or tense situation, or somebody's going to bring it about. As I said, gossip, argument, but you are a soldier for the light. So you are transmuting this energy, darling dears. You've learned how to be what? Badassery personified. You've got the badass alchemist ways, darling dears. They try to play what? Spiritual tag, but you're playing spiritual kung fu. Okay. The energy of the 5 is that you're also going to be attractive to many people. The energy of the 5, why people are concerned about what you've got going on, is the security or foundation that you've actually made for yourself. Someone is going to try and make a problem within your home environment where your stable foundation is, darling dears. They want to take it to your what? Perimeter. But remember, the energy of the 5 is what? A life lesson. Why? Because you're resourceful. The resourcefulness comes from the magician energy. Mercury meaning that you use your mind and things coming in with a quickness. The energy of the air element, darling dears, is represented by, come on, Case, the eagle. Okay. All right. As well as spring. We are in spring at this moment in time. So this quick change is on you, darling dears, as well as in you. This is about what? Justice being your go-to move, darling dears. You are the justice for many around you. It's about you what? Using your logic. This is what created your adventurous spirit, what got you into the learning. Yes, you did. You learned about your well-being, about how frequencies and energies, darling dears. Many of you took further training, could be in Reiki, Tarot, Astrology, Numerology, whatever, darling dears, because the 6th house is juxtaposed to the 12th house. And the 12th house is a highly spiritual house, so it was the death and rebirth of you, darling dears, on a higher spiritual plane. Good golly and gosh. So you went through some form of spiritual quarantine to rebuild yourself in the image that you are in now. Everything is by design plan, darling dears. Divine plan, 100%. You are a natural born leader, darling dears. The Mercury energy, the energy of the magician, is represented by the 1, first house, about self. Your outward behavior has changed. Put it this way, big cat. If it's someone that has not been in contact with you in the last 2 years, the last 12 months, the last 6 months, even the last 3 months, they've had no contact with you. If they get in contact with you again, you are not the same person. You've changed, really, from the inside out. This also speaks about the avoidance of some kind of an accident. First house, yeah, and the 6th house. Again, this is about some kind of illness, but you're going to heal from it, okay? We use the energy of Mercury. Mercury rules the, come on, Case. The hands, shoulders, your joints, your fingers, your stomach, your hearing. Be careful of an accident in that area, or you may have had an accident. If you have, you will heal from said accident. All right. It's also about, as I said, your employment. Somebody's changing their employment. Your employment status is about to change with a quickness because you've educated it yourself in another area, darling dears. You're being watched by family members, cousins, aunts, uncles. Yup, 100%, darling dears. Yeah. You're being watched on a daily basis. 6th house energy, darling dears. People are seeing you what? Raise your vibration. You've broken many family limitations that were set on you, darling dears. The 12th house is the house of karma. You're no longer mentally confined by what paradigms you grew up under, darling dears. You've understood that was a form of mental illness. 12th house again, darling dears. Yeah, you've ended affairs with a family group. So this is about family members not liking the cut of your jib or the flightiness of your feet. Well, guess what? May your Nikes be forever laced, big cat. Tinky winky styly. Fist bump. So let's get the energy of Mercury to remind us of the energies. So this is about something coming in for quickness. This is a journey that you took or are about to take. Yeah, in which you took or about to take, like I said, higher learning. Because the energy of the third house, Gemini is about learning, darling. There's the beginning of learning. But you've accomplished something along the way, stepping into your true persona, whom you're meant to be on this Malkuth. Somebody's suffering from asthma at this moment in time. I use the ceramic inhalers with pink Himalayan salt for my youngest child, and it's working a treat, darling dears. Going with the natural methods. But then again, you have free will. This is not a medical channel. I just use what serves me best, darling dears. And again, Mercury is coming out with the energy of the 3, darling dears. Okay, the energy of the 3 also speaks into what? Your growth, darling dears. It's also a new group is coming towards you. Somewhere you are meant to be by divine plan. Why? Because you are your authentic self now. This is the forgiveness of self. This is the learning of lessons, darling dears. Putting yourself in a position where you can teach and guide, as well as continue to be the eternal student. Mercury energy. Always learning something new. Love it. I don't hate it. Okay. Right, let's press on, darling dears. The energy of the 3, the third house, is ruled by the Empress, the Hangman, and the World card, darling dears. So you've shown growth. This is why you are being gifted new relationships, soul level relationships. Other light workers are coming in, and it will be an initial success. Why? You read auras, you read energy. You've been utilizing all of your spiritual gifts to get you to this point, darling dears. Remember, it took a whole army, or should I say a horde of family members trying to beat you down. And when you was in that situation, you have attracted partners like that, friendships like that, darling dears. But not anymore. How now, brown cow? You realize you have the badass alchemist ways. Oh, I love it. I don't hate it. Yeah, you learned how to what? Paint a fat wet one and throw a stick, darling dears. They'll chase it. They're dummy bats. What did I say? And I'm standing on what I said. Let's press on, darling dears. Feel guided to get the multicolored cards. Let's get some messages coming up for you. They've got mummy issues, darling dears. Maybe there was the golden child that turned out to be what? The son or daughter of Pennywise the Clown. Prackle or Prackalisha. Yeah. They're going downhill, darling dears. This is why they're trying to what? Drain your energy. And possibly stepped up the what? Tongue wrestling, and maybe have the effrontery to what? Jettison to your perimeter. Jealous of your car. They keep getting into accidents. What did I say? Someone is getting into an accident. I thought it was you. But then again, that's what happens when you assume. You make an ass of you and me, and I surely did. They're getting into accidents, darling dears. Not ready to give up the toxic lifestyle. So they want to draw you back in, maybe with a mummy issue. Okay. Something to do with your mother. Mercury is about the mind. Maybe the mother has dementia or Alzheimer's or some other something else to do with the mind, an illness to do with the mind. Maybe chronically depressed, anxious, agoraphobia. Nothing like time, darling dears. Time and listening to your ancestral team. Yeah, everything always comes out in a wash, darling dears. And time is the master of all healers. No, it won't expunge the past, but you are in the energy of a 5, having learned lessons, darling dears. Yes, things did happen, but you don't have to live at that address, darling dears. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or financially. 5 is about change, darling dears. A quantum leap ahead. Love it. Okay. We are going to go with the energy of the 5th house, darling dears. The 5th house also speaks about you being in the spotlight some way. Some kind of hobby you've turned into, maybe it was a side hustle, darling dears, but you're about to be put into the spotlight for your works. You are in some kind of entertainment, some kind of public speaking, darling dears, presentation. It's about you putting your persona, your energy out there. Why? Energy of the 6th house. This is how you what? Are about to meet your true co-workers, darling dears, your true soul tribe. They are coming towards you. Remember, I told you that. Your words, your communication, 3rd house is healing others. Yep. But the spotlight you was once in, it's about to be turned up. 1000 wattage, darling dears. What's this? T-Rex arms with the Tripitaka ways. Family members, darling dears, giving out the Chinese whispers, right? they have no choice but to shut all the way up until they get to the top of Shut the F Up mountain. And whilst there, darling dears, they got to keep it stum. Easter Island and Stevie Wonder. They need to. Why? Because your ancestors don't play, darling dears. You've come too far in your Sophia voice. Posh, clap. They're going to watch you, what? Bathe in your 6 G's of God, goals, gifts, greatness, growth, and gratitude for what you went through, darling dears, because you have a testimony to tell. I said this is going to be about the 5th house. I've put all of the 48 laws of power into the astrological wheel. So energy and law number 5 is what? Your reputation, darling dears. Guard it with your everything. There is no returnsies to you. If you've unfriended, right, unco-workered, unfamily membered, unpartnered, unprogenied, whatever it is, there's no backs to you, darling dears. Why? Law number 9, you will win through your actions, never your words, darling dears. Why would you bother tongue wrestle with someone who is hell-bent on bringing you down and they're already at rock bottom, darling dears? Okay. Law number 16, the absence and space you gave between yourself and these family members created a level of respect, but it's grudging, darling dears. They want to get into your inner perimeter to see what it is, what is your glow? How did you do what you did? The baddest of them all. Answers, darling dears. You got answers from your ancestors. You've been spiritually guided. You was meant to show them how to live a bountiful life. And watching you, they are. Okay. Let's get another deck. I feel inclined. Let's go with the green. Not ready to give up the toxic life, eh? No matter how much time they spend at the bottom of the pit, being seen in a different light, didn't I say? They're grudging you whatever it is you bought for yourself, darling dears. We've got the father and the grandfather is in the reverse, someone that's passed. My condolences, darling dears, right? But this person that passed, darling dears, there was a big mouth. This is somebody that used to give up. Maybe they liked to party or there was loud talking. Yeah, but this is someone that never owned up to their own behaviors, darling dears. Narcissist, a snake. Okay. Yeah, look, on the base of the deck, this is your fresh start, the clean slate, the new beginning, clear conscience, right? Clean hands and square one for you, darling. There's this new beginning that's been gifted you by the Most High. You have to leave the T-Rex arms with the trippy-taka ways where they are. They're jealous of your everything, darling. There's your chariot of righteousness that was gifted you by the Most High, right? Many of you are celibate, darling dears. Listen, your sexual energy is like mimosa from the gods, darling dears. You can manifest with that, right? Friends, family, support, F shit. What did I say? They're still living that toxic lifestyle. Yeah, all of this and that. Okay. No rest for the wicked. They're still up on their what? Spider-like legs, trying to weave a web. Look at this. At the top, lesson learned. I didn't even notice that, darling dears. Yeah, look. The gossip, the merchants of slander, Jeremiah 9:40. Bringing up old bones, inventing more things as we sip our mockers because we ain't getting smoked. Nor must you allow yourself to be what? Drawn back. Those are breadcrumbs to madness, to hairlineless, darling dears. To lose your hairline, right? Your finances, everything you've built up to this point, including yourself from the inside out. Remember how far you came. Remember who pushed you in that hole, who watched you in that hole, darling dears, and who was there to what? Chat it up and kick mud on you, darling dears. Well, guess what? You molded it into stones, and you used those stones to dig your way out and up. Okay, let's get your oracle ancestral message, then we're going to move on at a hot trot. Okay. Good golly and gosh, it speaks about guidance. Someone is getting tarot readings on you, darling dears, trying to find out intel. You may even be a reader, darling dears. Doesn't mean that they weren't getting reading on it. Why? because they're trying to bring down whatever you've got going on, darling dears. They can't believe that you are what? Anointed, darling dears, gifted, and you are in your lane. Remember, I told you that. Okay, what did I just say? You got the badass alchemist ways. Some of you are natural healers, darling dears, using the herbs. Remember, like I just said, with the ceramic chamber and the Himalayan pink salt for my daughter's asthma. You are using more natural methods, darling dears, and it also speaks about being at one with nature. Yeah. Many of you are using what? The energies of the moon to make your healing poultices, medicines. Yes, you are. I told you. And many of you are what? Intuitively guided. You just know what goes with what. Why? Because you've done it in many lifetimes. Only in this lifetime, you came back as a volunteer to help those what? Feeble-minded family members, right? To get off the hamster wheel. What did they do? What did I say? They're talking about your security, darling. There's a stable home that you've built for yourself. This looks like the energy of the 3, darling dears. The energy of the 3 back in the 3rd house. Okay, there's a lot of talk about your vehicle, your home, how you express yourself. They want to know how comes you know all of these things, darling dears. Definitely a family member at the ending of life. Maybe they did have asthma issues, darling dears, or a breathing issue. My condolences, darling dears. Something to do with your childhood, darling dears. Okay, did somebody push your head under? What did they used to push your head underwater, or put you in a dark space where you got asthma attack, anxiety attack? Well, they're getting it, whomsoever that is, darling dears. Right, let's get a deck and dive right in and unpack. Base of your deck, darling dears. Somebody wants to come through with a bull swanky apology. Page of Cups. This is someone who is emotionally immature, darling dears. Likes to get their way by what? Pomp and circumstance. Feeble-minded for sure. Someone wants to come through and give you a bull swanky apology full of hopium and cognitive dissonance. Page of Cups is someone we've all got psychic gifts, darling dears, but they use it to what? Discern people's behavior so they can manipulate it. Okay. Yeah, but they're coming through the apology, but it's really just to gain information. If it's a partner, this partner, there was an age difference. They were definitely younger than you, darling dears. Page of Cups also once again represents your sibling energy. Tell us what's going on as they what? Get readings on you, darling dears. They're not happy. And this also speaks about an emotional breakdown, lots of arguments, distension in the family. This is a family together, darling dears. This is a family in distension. What am I seeing here? I'm seeing Mars energy as well as what? Pisces energy. Mars is about taking action, negative action, darling. There's a lot of aggressive movements. Pisces energy. It may even lead to someone losing their life or going to prison or the graveyard. I said the graveyard, didn't I? A madhouse. Yes. Or they're losing their mental faculties, seeing you what? Boss up as only a big cat can. Especially when they realize whom they are, and everything they went through was just a test, darling dears, to see what you do, see if you'd fold, go back to situations that no longer serve you. 10 of Cups in the reverse speaks about this family is in a lot of issues, emotional arguments, darling dears. Yes. And it also speaks into what? Missing your absence. They miss your absence, darling dears. Maybe you was the chief picker-runner. Yes. You're not there to be abused, darling dears. And listen, and they're amongst people that are addicted to those behaviors. A lot of codependence here, darling dears. It also speaks about if you was married to this person was immature. This represents a broken marriage, a broken home. Okay. Yeah, 2 of Wands. You had to work towards a new beginning, darling dears, but it's about you physically taking up the key of what? Chiron, darling dears, you're healing. Somebody's also going to be getting a new key, could be to a vehicle, because Wands is about movement, darling dears. Or you're going to be finding the key. Someone's been doing some kind of working out, some figuring. The key could also represent a key to an inheritance. Queen of Pentacles is a confirmation of yes, darling dears. Somebody's about to receive an inheritance, a past family member. Yeah, but there's a lot of controversy around it, darling dears. Maybe somebody stole your inheritance. Yeah, you weren't expecting it, darling dears. This person was extremely sneaky. Okay, we've got 7 of Swords in the upright. I might add. It's represented by Aquarius as well as the moon energy, darling dears. Moon is what? Something illuminating. It's also something that was done in the dark or outside of your awareness, darling dears. The Aquarius energy is a group, so it was more than one person that did this. They expected the taking of this inheritance to break you, darling dears, but you was being spiritually guided, what? To take your hands off. Why? There's a curse on that money. The money that they took, darling dears, did not give them the Shangri-La they was expecting. Yes, Knight of Cups, King of Swords, Knight of Swords. Oh my God, look at this lineup, darling dears. When we see two kings on the tableau, darling dears, they supported each other in a lie. Yep, this is the signing of legal papers, darling dears. The king of the Knight of Cups is what? The making up of some form of communication next to the swords. Maybe they forged their signature. Whatever it is, darling dears, this is how they cheated you out. And I said it was the energy of three people, main antagonists that did this, darling dears. 3 people did this. Okay. So why they want to bring the big cat into their karma? The big cat who's minding their own business, being the best they can. Ha 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 ha. Why they want to bring you into it? They don't even trust each other, darling dears. There's something that they're trying to go forward with. Maybe it's the key to a property, some kind of a property, a home, something of value. Does it still have value? 7 of Cups on its face is a no, darling dears. Yeah, lots of lies, darling dears. Yep. 4 of Swords also speaks about what? Wanting to heal this situation, but you can't heal the situation. There's no honor amongst thieves. They're going to pretend that they want to what? Work with you. Energy of the 3, the same 3, darling dears. Why? Because some of you've got things going for you, but they wounded you, darling dears. And you have the foresight of the Queen of Swords. Highly, right? Intelligent, darling dears. Intelligent. You think with logic, darling dears. They think that you're going to allow them in after they've wounded you so many times, and especially in the most severe way, stealing of an inheritance. Yep, this is why they're getting the readings, darling dears, to see if they can send you some form of what? Magic, to have you locked in tight, darling dears. They're trying to defend what they stole. Narcissists, darling dears. Ideas of grandiose. And what was done in the dark is about to be revealed by spirit itself. Good golly and gosh. Thought they'd gotten away, eh? Someone amongst them, one of the 3, is going to try and approach you with some kind of a what? Apology, darling dears. But it's bull swanky. This is a blessing blocker, darling dears. They're not going to tell you the entire truth. And they're sure as she's dying, not going to mention any form of inheritance they took from you. It's to steal energy, darling dears. Yeah, this person is Folio, darling dears. In the upright, the Hermit is somebody being isolated. This is them coming out of their hiding. Yeah. They want you to take that cup of opium and cognitive dissonance. This is somebody who disappointed you, darling dears. Somebody who deeply disappointed you. We've got the 8 of Wands. This is representing the communication that you have coming towards you. Why now? Listen, they're hoping to catch you off guard, darling dear. Strength card on its face, and it will affect your health and your spiritual health. Queen of Swords, you've been what? Pipped at the post, darling dears. I've given you the intel. You know what's going on. Some of you may be tempted to have some kind of conversation or back and forth with texting and all. Don't do it. That's all energy, darling dears. This is a full-on frenemy, right? And remember, they're going through their own karma, retribution, because the money that they took was cursed. So it was 3 people. Give me some more information on these 3 people. So we already know they're arguing and fighting. Yeah, none of them can sleep, darling dears. They're having sleepless nights. Possibly your ancestral team visiting them at the 3 a.m. to what? Say, hey, dummy bat, dickhead, wake up. We've got so much to worry you with. Look, and it's a never-ending cycle. They can't move on mentally, darling dears. They're mentally stuck in their cranium. Look, and they know why. Because of what they did. All of this sword energy, right? Good golly and gosh. Every wicked thought, every way that they try to think out of this situation, they can't even speak amongst each other because they're all lying to each other. Why? It's about self-preservation right now. Look, good golly and gosh. Knight of Swords doing a full head roll. Listen, baby, bestie, oi, lean in. This is one of them is extremely violent, darling dears, and will resort to violence. King of Swords, right? Look, this is the whole sword lineup. You've got the 9 of Swords, the 6 of Swords in reverse, the 8 of Swords in reverse, the Knight of Swords in the reverse, darling dears. This is somebody who likes to argue. They think they're clever, but they're not, darling dears. They're not clever. They're not. Look, 5 of Swords. Wash your face like David. And again, the cards are telling you not to engage. This is a full swords lineup, darling dears. Knowledge is power. And right about now, you are the king or queen of what's going on. Call Archangel Raphael at any time, darling dears. This is a time, I just said the eagle. Maybe you need to what? Drop down and get your eagle on. It could be in the form of... you may have some paperwork that you can look through that can confirm a story. If you want to go to courts, we already had the energy of the 3. But it's also for you to what? Take a spiritual look at the situation, darling dears. Do you really think if things was going well that they'd be coming back to hit you up with anything, darling dears? Remember, they got the T-Rex arms with the trippy talker ways. And they're going downhill, darling dears. And time has not been friendly to them either. Why? Because they look like what they did. Can't sleep, darling dears. Lots of very nervous, anxious, unable, and it's circling. They're going, it's like they got ruminating thoughts, darling dears. 7 of Cups because of what they made. This unholy trio, darling dears. A choice they made in secret. The Cups of Over. Yeah. They made a choice, right, to steal an inheritance. This is a stable foundation. What did I say? I can't make it up. From possibly a matriarch. It could be a patriarch of a family. Queen of Cups. Somebody who nurtured them, darling dears. They did that. They did that shiznai. And again, look, the energy of the 3. I told you, it's 3 guilty people. Yep. Fool card on its face. Foolio didn't realize the consequences and circumstances they was arranging for themselves. 8 of Pentacles. It's affected their health. It's affected their money. The money they expected to what? Make possibly of what they off of what they stole hasn't come to its fruition, darling dears. It's running through their fingers like water. Yeah. And they're looking at how you manage to what? Get out of that situation. Yep. They're realizing that they can't be liberated from the situation, darling. There's no escape. No new hope is coming towards them. That's their business. But yes, look at this, darling dears. The 6 of Cups on its forehead. They're living in the past. And they're thinking about the unrealistic expectations they had from this stolen inheritance and the reading they got on you. Maybe they was trying to pin it on you. Yeah. Well, moon card, darling dears. These moon card in the upright is hidden enemies, open enemies. They're coming through, darling dears. You will see them, or you will get contact from one of the 3, possibly the younger of the 3. It was Page of Cups. It could be a male. People think it's a joke when a big cat calls judgment. That doesn't mean you wish them ill, darling dears. When you call judgment as a spiritual being having a human experience, they are being judged and given instant karma in this lifetime for what they did to other people. So it doesn't fall on their progeny. Well, it may. It may. Depends on whether or not the progeny took up the wicked streak like them. They wanted to destabilize your security, darling dears. Good golly and gosh. This is what? Earth Angel. This is devil's most diligent worker. Yeah, there's a lot of chaos around them, darling dears. Lots of disruptive, fighting energy, confused energy, darling dears, racking their one brain cell. They feel as though they've lost control of the situation. No balance, no harmony. That's their justice on its forehead. And it's the 7th house of contractual partnerships, darling dears. Good golly and gosh. I know, bestie. I know. And it also speaks about legal situations, darling dears. It's coming towards them. Why? Because of what they did. They didn't expect the back end, darling dears. They're having a lot of problems. I'm hearing property taxes as well. They're not paying it. Look, because of the manipulation, what they've manifested, what? Instant karma. And this is 3 major arcana, and you know how I like the energy of the 3. Divine has a hand in this. Real time, darling dears. Stressed out. Somebody's also going to be going to prison, darling dears. And it also speaks about some kind of medical illness. The 10 of Swords, darling dears. They're talking about you. They're gossiping. They're feeling the loss of you because there's no one to blame. And someone in their circle is going for a divorce, or the wedding is about to be cancelled, darling dears. Yep, but they are obsessed with you in the same breath. I have to say this. Okay, the Ten of Swords is represented by the Sun as well as Gemini energy, darling dears. Sun is about, yeah, it was all for show. Whatever they're doing at this moment in time, it's all for show. Again, we're going back to the Gemini energy. They're not communicating the truth. The third house, remember I told you that? Yeah, the house of siblings. That was never neighborly to you. Yeah. Look at this. I told you, for every penny that comes in, they lose two. You know this, darling dears. This is why you must not engage with them on any level. Protect your auric field. Hold your gangster. They are double-minded people, darling dears. You have to be like, if you get any form of communication from these people, they even try to interrupt your dream state, darling dears. Yes, they do. You have to train yourself to be like a devout monk on a fast of patience, darling dears. Patience and silencio. So they got a reading on the big cat. Why did they get the reading on the big cat? Because you've got nothing to tell, darling. You had nothing to give this particular public when you said goodbye. They didn't think for air. Yeah, they did not. These people are unable to move on, darling dears, and it also speaks about some form of travel issue. Maybe they can't afford the petrol, or the car's a piece of shit, darling dears. But again, we spoke of accidents. They keep getting into accidents. Yeah, guilty as F, darling dears. Let's ring the bell to clear that bad juju and let it stay with them. In the name of the Most High, Father, God, Mother, Isis. With love and light, we lock and bind it and send it to the Most High, Father, God, Mother, Isis. Why? Because we ain't got the time to play spiritual ping pong. Yeah, feeling guilty, darling dears, because of what they try to do to you. And again, in the reverse, they got a reading on you, darling dears, but they try to use some form of spell work. And as I said, it could also be in the form of what? Forging your signature. Yeah, to gain what was yours. And whatever they did, darling dears, it was a what? A long time coming. Why? Because who did they hurt? A soldier for the light, a high priest or priestess, darling. There's a HEYOKA. Someone who is a healer of the ages. Remember I told you that. It also speaks about you could be a female feminine energy, but you come from a line of shaman. Yes, you do. Healers, darling dears. I told you, many of you are natural healers, intuitively guided, darling dears. But this is, again, is about your gifts being buffed up. Seven of Cups. It's creating a lot of openings for you, lots of portals, lots of opportunities, lots of doorways. But it's about you not making a choice emotionally, darling dears. This is about you examining it with your third eye, calling in your ancestral team, going in for your higher knowledge, because you're going to be offered many things, darling dears, going forward. Yep. Some of you will be offered a platform, darling dears, or maybe you'll be stepping into fame. It could also speak about benefactors, sponsorships, darling dears. But you are being divinely guided. Why? Because you have the key, as we saw at the beginning. Yeah, the key to healing. Yeah, healing the masses, darling dears. With your what? Spiritual energy. You got the badass alchemist ways. And it also speaks about a partnership. Someone is going into union, darling dear. Something that is being what? Guided by your ancestral team. Yes, baby. Good golly and gosh. What's this? Look, a spiritual union. Ace of Wands could also represent the genitalia, darling dears. Queen of Swords is telling you, I don't care who it is. Even if they come on a flaming chariot, they're still going to get researched, darling dears. Knight of Swords. This is something unexpected and coming quickly towards you. It goes to Two of Swords. You're going to have to go within to make the right answer for you, darling dears. Yeah, because you don't want to pick the wrong cup. But look, you get an 11-11 fade. Mutual mind working together, darling dears. Remember I told you that. I already said you get a fresh start. Leave that dark, nefarious energy where it is, darling dears. Let's get the Kipper deck. See what Kipper's got to say about this. Yeah, I told you it's a whole community. 3 people in particular, and notice the 3 comes out first. The energy of the 3 and 9 goes to a 12 and comes down to a 3. Those same 3, right? And it hit the tarot cards that got this reading, darling dears. Why did they get the reading on the big cat other than to nosy? Yeah, because they want to know what's coming towards you, darling dears. Because your expectations are high. Why? Because you turned your back on them. And bossed up in their face. They're looking for, they got the reading, darling dears, because they was looking at stones to what? Chuck at you, words to possibly take you off this pedestal, this stepping into fame, some kind of light that you've stepped into, darling dears, to take you down a peg or 2. Well, guess what? Great fortune is still shining on you, darling dears. And this is God's authoritative thumbs on a 7, darling dears. Listen, in Nogoso, divine is about to page them for their behaviors. I told you they keep getting into accidents. Look, the energy of the 4. No more friendship for you. That's, I mean, for them. Yeah, none. Listen, it was hard work, darling dears, but yet you learned the life lesson. Who's got lice? They got lice? Good God, all the more reason. And they're under judgment, darling dears, for what they did to you and they've done to others. And all of these 3s are coming out, darling dears. Remember, I told you that. This goes to an energy of 11, darling dears. 11 is a master number. It also speaks about the wounded healer. Hence the wound. Your wound, darling dears, was to the white meat, but you was meant to learn from it, heal, forgive, and ascend, which you've done fabulous, gorgeous, and lovely. You've done it. You did it. Continue to listen to your intuition. It will keep you in balance, darling dears, but you was built to what? Share your vision, darling dears. As I said, your testimony by teaching, speaking, writing. Start your channels, because we already spoke about the TV and online, the third house. Get your energies out there. This was a 5th house read. It's about you, your personal expression. You may feel as though the field that you're in is saturated, but no one is like you. You are unique, darling dears. And your gifts and your skills are needed, wanted, and sought after. And it will be highly sought over the next few days. You're setting a new precedent, darling dears. Signing new contracts while they're under judgment. That's their business. On that note, I drops me mic. Toddle over to my Teesprings, my Patreon, or my TikToks, where I also upload videos. If you'd like a personal read, hit me up in the Gmail. And as I always, thank you very much for your continued support of myself and these messages, darling dears. Most appreciated. Thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your shares, your bookings, your donations, and most importantly, your comments, darling dears, because it's a survival kit for another big cat. And as I always say, don't get smoked. And don't smoke yourself. From the ashes, baby. Namaste. Big cat wave. Until we meet again on these tarot streets. Cat, cat. Cat, cat.
How you came to be is no longer a mystery. Black sheep is your birthright. It's code for the one who brings the light. I bet if there's a crack, you don't fall back. Remember who you are. No rest for the wicked with their skullduggery. The you spell workers' projection to send out envy, hate, and jealousy. You are the prototype, your ancestors champion. They shield you and send back those spiritual attacks. You are divinely protected from the dummy bats. Yeah. Big cat, the most high, got your back. He sits high and looks low, so don't get smoked or smoke yourself. Big cat moving silence. Only time you speak is